It's Maddy Ellwanger.
Today I'm going to be showing you how I transformed myself into Lucille Ball from the classic television show I Love Lucy. I'm going to be taking you every step of the way from making the giant loaf of bread to making the giant ball of dough from scratch, as well as hand dipping hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of chocolates for the chocolate factory scene, and every single step along the way that went into this 3-week process. So first I'm doing my makeup, which is just a foundation and no powder because I didn't feel that I needed it for this. A basic eye look and lots of blush because I felt it helped me do her expressions better, since she has so many like crazy expressions that blush just made it more animated, I felt. And then the eyebrows, those were a little hard to do because my eyebrows aren't as thin as hers, and hers are literally pencil thin, so that was a little hard, but I think I did pretty good on them. And then the eyeliner was a little bit of a winged eyeliner, but like not too much, just like is very small. And then just going in with my mascara, and of course have to add some fake eyelashes so her eyes can look very animated, and that just made them a lot bigger, and she has literally like circles for eyes. They look like little like moons. So there's that, and then of course her classic red lipstick look. Now I'm just slicking back my hair into a ponytail and curling the pieces, and this was the only way I could think of to do her hair. I'm not exactly sure how, she used to do her hair. I think she had like, I don't know if she had long hair. I don't know what was going on, but I felt that this was the best way to do it. So I curled them, and then I took little bobby pins and pinned them to like the top of my head, because she wore her hair on the top of her head a lot. And so it just, I really don't know how to explain it, but that's what I did to recreate her hair. And then I did like a little bow, because she always had little bows and stuff in her hair, like little hats. And then this is one of the 3 outfits that I did for her scenes. This was for the Vitamita Vegemin one. And just putting on my earrings and fixing my makeup a little bit. And there you go. There's Lucille Ball in the flesh. Hey, baby. Next is my favorite part of this whole thing that I did. This one took, I really could not figure out how to do it for the longest time. I was like, okay, should I make the bread out of paper mache? Should I make it out of, I just didn't know what to do. My dad was like, oh, we should get like a giant like coil thing from like Home Depot. And I was like, nah, that doesn't look good. So I figured out if I just made it kind of like a body pillow, only with like, of course, the shape of like a slice of bread. So I made this like giant body pillow, and I stuffed it with stuffing and like newspaper and stuff. And then I took like fishing line after I had stuffed it and put it through the middle. And I'm not explaining this good at all, but I like put the fishing line through the middle so that it would kind of like squish out the sides and give it like the top of the bread kind of like the fluffier look that most bread does when you cook it in like a loaf pan. And then once it's painted, that the way I did that kind of makes more sense, but it just gave it a like fluffy effect to it. Then to make it more realistic, I decided to paint it, and I was really nervous to do this part because I didn't know how I was going to pull it off, because like with acrylic paint, when you're painting fabric, the fabric just like soaks up so much of the paint and it looks really dark and like it just looks kind of bad. So I thought, okay, if I take maybe like water and a sponge and I kind of like sponge the diluted paint onto the fabric, it might look good. And the first few ones I messed up a little bit, but then after that I kind of got the hang of it, and I was able to give it this kind of more like bread looking effect where I went with like little circles and did like a circular motion like all around the entire thing on the top of it, and then just kind of painted the bottom of it just like one solid color so that it would look like maybe the top was a little more burnt than the bottom. So yeah, that's basically all I did for the bread. It took me almost 2 full days to complete it because it took so long to paint it and sew it and so long to stuff it. But honestly, it's probably my favorite prop that I've ever made, so I'm like really proud of it, and it was worth the time that it took. And then this is me showing you that my beloved bread is the same exact size as my body, which is not very big because I'm only 5'2", but I still thought it was pretty funny that we're like the same size. It's just me in bread form. And then I had to squish the bread into the oven with my body, which was so funny because like I was squatting and my legs were cramping up. I look like I'm humping the bread. Like I literally look like I'm humping the bread. I can't even look at it because it's so funny. But then I had to like jump back and hit the fridge with my back so it looked like it was jumping out at me, and I still have bruises from it, and it was so painful. When I filmed the too much yeast scene, I hadn't yet fully memorized the script. I had only run through it a few times, and when I was filming it, the one that you actually saw, that was actually just like a practice run of what I was trying to do because I never actually got the chance to record it the fully practiced way that I wanted to. So I had intended on like kind of falling into the side of the counter and like falling on the ground and trying to grab the counter to stop myself from falling on the ground, but I never actually meant to grab the handle of the oven. So it was my second take. I didn't really know what I was going to be doing yet, so I was going, and I just got so into my character that as I was falling, my hand just latched on to the handle of the oven so tight that I just fully ripped it off if I was falling down. And you can see it in my face. Like I have this face of like, oh shit, like what did I just do? But in that moment, I said to myself, if you really did just rip the door off of the oven, you are so fucked. You've been making all the props for specifically just this scene for over a week now. You like all your time that went into this, all of it is gonna go to waste if you don't fucking just kill it, get your shit together, and pull through for this scene. Because like, and if you're gonna have to pay for the oven, that's gonna be so expensive. Like you're just fucked. So you might as well just give it your all, do your best, just do your best to remember everything, and just fucking go for it. And so that's what I did. And I'm genuinely pretty proud of myself considering like how in shock I was. Like I'm surprised I remembered to say anything at all. And you can tell watching me, it like takes me a minute and I'm like, oh Ethel, oh Ethel, oh Ethel. And the whole time that I'm saying oh Ethel in my head, I'm just like, Jesus fuck, like what am I supposed to say next? Like what am I supposed to do? I don't remember. And I'm just like stressing out so hard. And I ended up having to use that take because that was the only one that I had because I really did break the door off of my oven.
Okay, so I'm in the middle of filming my fucking I Love Lucy skit, and I got so into my character that I went to go. I fucked up, y'all, okay? I just broke the fucking oven door off of my oven. I'm so fucked right now.
And then here I am making the dough so that I could carry, that giant ball of dough around. And this, I think I had to make maybe like 18 recipes worth of bread to make the dough big enough. And I wish I had a video of it when the bread had like risen after I left it there, because I put every single one that I had made into this giant bowl, and it was so big. It weighed at least like 40 pounds, at least. So yeah, I just spent a full day making bread all day, and it was really fun. It was really messy. I'd never made bread before, so I was really nervous that I wouldn't be able to do it, but it was actually like pretty simple, so it was no big deal. And then this is me having the time of my life, punching it and beating it up and then putting it into the giant bowl. Then here I'm making the chocolates, and I really was not sure how I was going to make enough chocolates for this scene because I knew I needed a lot, and like chocolates that big are really, really expensive. So after I had spent some time like trying to like look at different chocolates and look at the prices. I was like, fuck that shit. Like, I'm just gonna make them myself. So I bought like a couple bags of marshmallows for like $1, and then I bought some like cheap chocolate chips, like the cheapest ones I could find, and I just melted the chocolate in a pot, and then I cut the marshmallows in half so I could have more, and then I dipped them in the chocolate and let them cool off, and that's how I made all the chocolates. And I still, even though I made at least 200, I still did not have enough, and I ended up having to eat like the used chocolates I had already used like off the floor, and it was so disgusting. I was gagging. It was nasty. I hated it. And then as far as the outfits go, I was really sad I didn't really get to make one, because I kind of luckily already had like 3 outfits that fit all the scenes I was trying to do, so I just took those outfits and used those instead. But I did get to make the little chef hat because I didn't have one of those, so I had a lot of fun making a chef hat, and it turned out super, super cute, and I was really proud of it. So there's that. And I really didn't have to make any sets for the scenes, but I did have to like transform my kitchen into a different kitchen, and I just did this by taking pieces of felt and pinning them to the wall, which is pretty much what I already do in my apartment anyway. I do that instead of painting because it saves a lot of time and money, and you don't have to pay, like when you move out, you don't have to pay for all like the repainting of the walls. So I'm already used to doing this, so I just did this really quick and just put up some felt, and so that kind of transformed my kitchen into like a more adorable looking kitchen, and it matched my outfit for the scene, and I was really happy with it. And then I covered up my fridge because it looked too modern for the scene, and it kept falling down, which was driving me insane, but it worked out in the end. And then the last prop that I had to make was the sign for the Vitamita Vegemin scene, and I made that just out of a piece of paper, and then I painted that shit, and that's about it. Now, the hardest thing I had to figure out was how I was going to make it look like the chocolates were on a conveyor belt, because obviously I don't just have a conveyor belt lying around. So I actually had my dad come over, and I thought if we put it on the parchment paper, he could like pull them, but we're like, shit, how are you going to pull the parchment paper and put the chocolates on the same time? And so we ended up putting, like, got a really, really long roll of parchment paper and had it kind of fold over the table. So he would pull the parchment paper under the table at the same time that he was adding the chocolates onto the table. And then I just made sure that I cut him out of the frame when I edited it, and it actually turned out so good. And I was so excited and so proud of it, and so lucky that he was there to help me for that.
But that, oh my god, that
worked.
Oh, yay! Let's pull the poop out of the trash can! Oh my god, I'm so excited! It's gonna look so cute!
Hanging out with my daughter during the film.
You don't
I like doing this stuff. I wasn't rushed. I think this is fun.
And that's pretty much it. That's all that went into the 3-week long process of becoming Lucille Ball. I had a really fun experience with this, and I really loved it, and I hope that you love it too.
This has been a Maddy Ellwanger production. Oh god, my freaking knocker popped out.